Okay, 30-second board time. Hot topics within the sport. I can't believe it. We're within about 5 weeks of the Pro Motocross Championship opening up. This dynamic Supercross title fight is certainly taking up all of our oxygen right now, but it won't be long till we get another one. And last year was spectacular, so let's do it again.
Yeah, what a summer 2022 was. To think about the championship battles coming. Throw Jett on a 450. Dylan Ferrandis' return. Tom Vial, welcome to the U.S. I can't wait to see what he does this summer. And, you know, if we're coming off of, or East Rutherford coming up this weekend, we do get a glimpse of what the 250 class would look like, sort of. Now, Jett will be in there this weekend, but he won't be there this summer. But a chance to see Hunter Lawrence and Tom Vial and all these guys all matched up together. It's going to be very exciting. And yeah, a good summer coming, especially if you're Honda. Think back to last year at round one at Paula. Honda swept the day. They swept and dominated everything, which is the exact same thing they did in Atlanta. So Honda's got to be feeling good about where they are now and what's coming in about a month.
It's really strange because Honda is now followed with the shadow, or the curse of the GOAT, as some people call it. They have not won a 450 title since Ricky Carmichael departed in 2004. So I feel like every year is tinted with disappointment for Honda. But meanwhile, you're right. Look at all these little individual milestones. We saw them sharing the podium. What was that, at Detroit, I think, where they swept? They swept again this weekend. They've had multiple nationals where they've dominated. When you talk about Sexton, Rocks in the last few years, the Lawrence brothers, they've won so much. But the story is always, unless they get the 450 title, that's all we're going to talk about. So Chase Sexton, pressure's on. This weekend, we got a little double feature. MotoGP was in America for the only time this season at Circuit of the Americas. And we know the Supercross fans and riders and industry and media love that. And it's been a day race at Atlanta. I think there was practically a chartered flight. The 9:45 Atlanta to Austin, Texas flight on Saturday was all Supercross people. Lots of familiar faces hanging out. I don't know if fans quite realize the appreciation on both sides. You get two pinnacles of motorcycle racing. There's huge respect.
Yeah, because they both think the other one's crazy. Those guys think that Supercross guys are crazy for jumping. Supercross guys think they're crazy for going as fast as they go. In reality, for most people, they're all crazy, Weege. You were there. Did you have a chance to talk to anyone in particular?
Yeah, I did. Luckily, MotoGP had last weekend off. So a lot of the riders came to Glendale. I met Jack Miller in the Red Bull KTM pits at Supercross, and then we reconvened at MotoGP, and he told me what he saw at Glendale and how big of a fan of Supercross that he is.
Supercross last week. You had a good time. You're a full-on fan of all this.
I love it. I love catching up with all the boys. Love, you know, the health of the sport at the moment. The field's so deep. It's awesome to watch. So no, it's shaping up to be a decent end to the championship for you guys. So I'll be watching with a very watchful eye.
Okay, we appreciate it. All right, that's Jack Miller. And speaking of this dirt to street, street to dirt transition, more news coming out of Triumph, a street brand who said they're going to go into Super Motocross starting next year, and now they've announced officially, we should say, their test rider for the U.S., none other than Ivan Tedesco, who we're very familiar with, multi-time Super Motocross champ.
Perfect. I mean, we already knew Bobby Hewitt was involved. We know Scuba's there. Obviously, RC's involved. But what's it going to be like on the motorcycle? Who's going to test? Who's going to develop this thing and get it ready for the next crop of Supercross stars to debut the bike? Two-time Supercross champion in the lights class, Ivan Tedesco. And I think that's a perfect fit for him. He's been on the bike a lot, working with Pro Circuit Kawasaki over the years. So to hear that news official, that he's going to be part of that development, I just think that's an incredible move for them. And as a company, again, I know they're an established brand, but in this moto world, Jason, they're like brand new. They're like an infant baby. Speaking of infant babies, Daddy Hombre gets a baby. And I mean, hey, congratulations on the heat race win. You win one for the baby, but it didn't turn out with a dub for Jason Anderson after the heat race, after the AMA got involved in the heat race, Jason.
Jason Anderson and the AMA and the rulebook. Shocking. So at least we know, having a baby, being a dad, nothing is going to change. So Anderson too fast off the side of the track, penalized. That happened a million times when he wasn't a dad. And I think the word in the main event, he was just out of energy, no sleep. You and I have dealt with that in life. I think that was the problem, right? Dad life got him.
Dad life got him on the very first race in the very first weekend that he was a dad. Congratulations, and welcome to the next probably 2 or 3 years of being very tired, hombre.
Yeah. Okay, so new news there for Anderson, but we got old school news to bring on Atlanta. This is so cool. Supercross fans of a certain age remember Art Ekman and David Bailey as the classic, the gold standard of audio commentary in this sport. Well, Art, he's long since retired from the broadcast game, but he lives in Atlanta and he came out to visit. He got to go to the booth. Talked to Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart. He called their races millions of times. Just so cool to see Art back around in the Supercross paddock one more time.
Man, Art is like the voice of, I mean, the voice of everything for me. I remember being young, coming up and growing, and every video I ever watched, it was Art Ekman. And so for him to be on the premises and go up there, I wish I would have had a chance to meet him. I was down there getting ready for the night program, or sorry, afternoon program, but gosh, Art Ekman, man, what a voice. And it's just cool to see his appreciation for the sport. And I know everybody in the room appreciated seeing him. That was great.
Bar to bar, David Bailey. Yeah, I did get to work with Art a little bit when I was first breaking in, so always thankful for the lessons that he taught there. Maybe some lessons being learned when we talk about Justin Barcia. He's been a lot cleaner lately. And then he actually, this is really funny, he actually mentioned this. He's like an employee on the job with several days without incident.
Yeah, I was smart. I seen some spots I could have went for the move, but knew me, right? There was a few spots, but how many days I'm clean am I now? Quite. You're the stat guy. Let's know. Like, I got somebody this year. Actually, I got Chase actually, but that was not intentional, right? That's what I always say. It wasn't intentional. I mean, it wasn't, but it happened. But yeah, I've been clean for a while, so I seen some opportunities, and I just was like, hey, be cool.
Don't relapse.
It's just a heat race. Don't relapse.
And honestly, it threw me off. I was like, dude, I thought you were going for it.
I was going for it, but then I just be clean.
Did you think about it, though? Did you consider it?
That's a bad question. You know the answer to that question. I thought, but I was like, just be smart.
Hey, that's a funny exchange. You host these press conferences, and you're saying that Barcia, he wanted to loosen things up.
Yeah, he told me before the presser, he said, do something different, make this thing fun. And I could just tell by the mood they were all in. They were all pumped to be on the podium. It was an afternoon. They knew they were getting out of there early. And I was like, all right, if you guys want to play, then let's play. So we just kind of dove in, and then it spiraled at a number of different times. But Jason, Justin's clean. He's clean. And Kenny wants him to no relapse. Don't relapse. Stay who you are. We like you. We like you now.
It takes me back, though, when he and Tomac had an argument a few years ago. And Eli yelled, have you ever passed someone clean? And Barcia throughout this year? So he's had moments, and he goes back. So watch out, Ken. But either way, Barcia's riding awesome. And he announced that he's back with the team. I think we all knew this was coming, but a 2-year extension. That's big.
Yeah, 2-year extension, and he is in now the title fight for 4th. Anderson's issues in the main event kind of pulls him out of it. But Ken Roczen and Justin Barcia, as we look at the 450 points, they're going to battle it out for 4th. You know who's not battling out for 4th is Chase Sexton. I'm going to say it again, Jason. He's battling for the championship. And if we look back at that stat we've talked about, always thrown away 35 points and the 7-point penalty and this and that. I mean, you go through the year, all the points lost, he's still within range. And I think that the story here is, can he continue to win like we think he can? And can Barcia and Roczen continue to be great and interfere? But these 450 points, that 17 is not as big as it looks. I think with 4 rounds to go, this thing is really, really tight.
Really cool to see a rider who we thought might miss the entire season with injury, Joe Shimoda, Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki, back in action. A pretty solid ride with 4th.
I'd say not great, not bad, just solid. Got his laps in, a couple of issues here and there. I think he'll be better at the East-West Showdown, but I really am looking at Nashville. That's an East-only race. I think that's when you're going to see the best of Joe Shimoda. I give him a little bit of a pass at Atlanta and the Showdown, knowing that he hasn't raced, but I'm totally fine with the performance, Jason. But Nashville, I think you're going to see the best of Joe Shimoda.
I want to talk totally fine. How about the rookie season for Haiden Deegan? Now the podiums are becoming normal. He gets another podium in Atlanta. That's not even shocking anymore. He's up to 2nd in points. I know Hunter has a giant lead, but I mean, if some crazy thing were to happen, you could honestly be looking at Haiden Deegan as the Supercross champ in his rookie year.
Don't play around with that talk right there. You're going to get everybody all fired up.
We're going viral.
But mathematically, he's 2nd in points. And if anything was to happen, he would. Anyways, look, he's checked every box. Well, not every box. He's won heat races. He's been on the podium. He's led laps. He's 2nd in points. All I need is a win. And honestly, the way he's riding right now, I would not be shocked. You asked me 2-3 weeks ago, I'd have said no way. I would not be shocked if he snuck a victory in by the end of this season. He is that good, and it's getting, I mean, he's going from good to great super, super fast.
Yeah, and avoiding the big mistakes you would expect out of a rookie. That's why he's 2nd in points. But as you mentioned, a distant 2nd. Hunter Lawrence could wrap up the title 2 races early, fairly easily this weekend.
Well, it's 7 points, so here's your math. if Hunter wins the East-West Showdown like he did last year at Atlanta, and Haiden was to get 4th, which I think that would be a great ride at the East-West Showdown. That's nothing to be upset about. That'd be an incredible ride. That math leads to Hunter Lawrence winning his first Supercross championship. So it's not that far-fetched. The East-West Showdown could help this. If it was just an East race, I would say probably not likely, but it could happen. And a lot of the reason is, Jason, is because of those injuries. Nate Thrasher, we saw him go down huge in that main event. Word is he had an injury to the hip. We knew he had a knee injury, so he's actually going to get in there and get things fixed and cleaned up about a month earlier than we expected, Jason, which could actually play into the Super Motocross World Championship playoffs. But for Thrasher, I'm bummed. But for Tom Vial, it's good to know. Word from the team is he's okay, and he should be racing in East Rutherford.
Time to wrap up this episode of SMX Insider. Let's tease it. We're going to New Jersey. Titles on the line. Brother versus brother. It's so good, we're going to add a half hour to our coverage. So you can watch the regular Race Day Live program starting at 1:30 Eastern Time. And then we'll have our night show begin at 6:30, which is a half hour early for a special pre-race show. We'll show you opening ceremonies and all the pageantry that make Monster Energy Supercross what it is, and the racing starts right after that. So it's all on Peacock, 1:30 for Race Day Live, 6:30 for our night show. And Dan.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.